And you guys are live.
Okay, good morning and welcome to the Village of East Hampton Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for Friday, August 12th. The first thing on the agenda are the minutes from July 8th, 2022. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we have 4 determinations today, and the files are available at Village Hall for viewing. In the application of Stone Free Trust, 33 Hither Lane, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 301-4-8-16, to permit and continue existence of an accessory improvements that will be made non-conforming by a subdivision is approved. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Pam, can you poll the board, please?
Mr. McGurk,
Yes.
Mr. McMullen,
Yes.
Mr. Rose.
Yes.
Okay, the second determination of the day in the application of Brian Charles Johnston and Joanne Johnston, 19th Circle, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 301-3-5-23.1 to construct additions to an existing residence and swimming pool is approved. May I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Pam, please.
Mr. McGurk,
Yes.
Mr. McMullen,
Yes.
Mr. Rose.
Yes.
Okay, in the application of Victor W. and Fran Jacobs Wukatowski, 102 Dayton Lane, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 301-2-5-3.2 to legalize a shed and storage bin is approved. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Pam, please.
Mr. McGurk,
Yes.
Mr. McMullen,
Yes.
Mr. Rose.
Yes.
Then the last determination of the day in the application of Robert G. and Kirsten S. De La Mata, 24 Ocean Avenue, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 301-8-13-15.1 to establish accessory dwelling unit is approved. May I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Please. Thank you. Pam?
Mr. McGurk,
Yes.
Mr. McMullen,
Yes.
Mr. Rose.
Yes.
So we have on continued hearings, we have 16 Nichols Lane, which has to be renoticed. So we'll put that on the agenda for next month. Okay.
Okay.
Can you just make sure, Mr. Chairman, that anybody on the phone who was waiting for that is aware of the status? Just explain. Please.
Okay, does anybody,
We do have one
anybody's on the
caller on the phone.
okay, can you?
Caller ending with 5290. You're on the air.
Good
Yes.
morning. And which application are you calling in on?
Well, we are only listening to the Nichols, and we are aware that's continued.
Okay, thank you for calling, and we will not be hearing anything on that today, so thank you. All right, so let's move on to the hearings for the day. Pam?
Application of 72 Lily Pond, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 301-1389 for area variances from Chapter 278 zoning to relocate and enlarge a pre-existing accessory building and convert it to an accessory dwelling unit. 2 variances of 13.9 feet each are required from Section 278 2B7E and 278 3A4A to construct a 35 square foot addition to a pre-existing non-conforming accessory building and convert the building to an accessory dwelling unit to be located 20.1 feet from the rear yard lot line where the required rear yard setbacks are 34 feet. A 534 square foot variance is requested from sections 278 2B7E and 278 3D7 to permit an accessory dwelling unit to contain 2,294 square feet of gross floor area, where 1,760 square feet is the maximum sized accessory dwelling unit permitted on this property, and any other relief necessary. The subject property is 78,042 square feet in area, is located at 72 Lily Pond Lane, and is located in Residence District R80. This project is classified as a Type 2 action in accordance with SEQA.
Okay, thank you, Pam. Is the applicant present?
Hi, John Torbett for the applicant. Also on the line is Frank Greenwald, the architect.
Okay, go ahead, John.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I was worried I wouldn't be able to connect because I am in California, but it sounds great. So thank you for the Zoom. I represented the McCreary's when they bought this property, and what's going on, the short of it, Billy did a great job summarizing it in his memo, but there's a probably pre-existing to zoning carriage house right on literally on the property line, maybe 6 feet from the property line. But then there's also pool equipment on that side of the property line, which is essentially right on the property line. And over the years, that pre-existing carriage house has been before this board a number of times and received a number of variances. And its legal status now is that it can have a bedroom in it, but no kitchen. So the McCreary's came to me and, well, maybe I went to them and said, hey, there's a new law in the village which allows for accessory dwelling units. It may be an opportunity to, since they do have more than 1.5 acres, it may be an opportunity to take advantage of the law. We could probably add an ADU somewhere else on the property, but this structure lends itself to being converted to an ADU. The problem with it is that ADUs have to meet setbacks, and it exists right in the property line. So, that's that. Oh, and the other issue would be as a pre-existing structure, it exceeds the total allowable gross floor area for an ADU. So the two issues essentially are that it doesn't meet setbacks, and it's slightly larger than what would be allowed under the current GFA calculations for an ADU. So with that in mind, we looked at it, and I realized that Rob Zecker, who's a client and a friend, is a next door neighbor. So this structure literally, and I did his closing as well, and I remember from his closing that the structure it towers over the property line. It's a relatively large carriage house. It's a story and a half. So we spoke to Rob about it and asked him what his, what he'd be looking to accomplish, or how we could get his support in converting this to an ADU. And he was very open to the idea. One of the major benefits to his property, and it's really his property is it's not like this. We don't share property lines with a number of properties. We share the property line with Rob's property. So by picking this up and moving it over, we can do a few things. We can go from 6 feet from his property line to 20 feet. And we can get the pool equipment from essentially on his property line. And remember, the pool equipment is up against our carriage house, so it's on the property line, and all the noise just bounces off our carriage house and goes right to his property. So we can move the pool equipment to a conforming location, and we can triple the distance from the property line. And then we also talked about the fact that if you've been to the property, you can see that there were some evergreens planted there to try to give some privacy between the two properties, but nothing can grow because of the height of the structure and its proximity to the property line. Everything gets really leggy and tall, and it's just not what you would expect in this area of East Hampton as far as landscaping. It's almost impossible to grow anything there. So they hired Michael Derrick from Landscape Details, and we've agreed on a mutual landscaping plan if the board were to approve the application, which would leave both property owners, they're the two adjacent property owners, leave them both happy and in a better position. So again, we would just be so the carriage house itself, we wouldn't be changing the outward appearance other than some cosmetic changes. It's pretty much a matter of picking it up and moving it over and putting it on a new foundation. There would be a cellar for storage added, but essentially it's just picking the carriage house up and moving it over. The outside wouldn't change much other than cosmetics. It's not like we're adding to it. Although there is a weird dent or indent in the corner that we would be rounding off, which does add, I think, 100 square feet. But essentially it's just a matter of picking it up and moving it over and putting it on a foundation. The board has any questions?
Thank you. Do we have any callers on the line?
There are no new callers on the line.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just a little housekeeping. Is Andy Barris going to sit on all these applications today?
Yes, if we need them, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Board members, any comments?
I have just pursuant to the Billy Hayek report, there was the covenant and restriction section of the memo. Is that something that's amenable to the applicant?
Yeah, so that's another advantage of the application is right now the structure kind of exists in a world where it doesn't define, it's not defined in the code, right? It's not an ADU, it's an accessory structure, but you can live in it. So I think one of the benefits, and I think maybe Billy and I had spoken about it at one point, was that when you can get something to conform exactly to something in the code, it just becomes in some ways it's more recognizable, right? It's hard to define what it is now, but if we can move it over and make it a legal ADU, then for example, those covenants would be all be recorded, the ones that are normally required for an ADU. I think Billy had also suggested that we covenant that because of some double height space inside still, and he had said that he would prefer not to see, and that would be fine with us. We would covenant that I think he was calling it habitable space inside the ADU, but maybe that's the best term. But essentially, we would create no additional space inside it, and we'd be fine with that as an additional covenant.
Mr. Chairman, I'll just point out that I am intimately familiar with this property, having been married there, and well, I have no connection to the property now or anything, or to the applicants. I know well. I think this is an extremely reasonable and appropriate and improvement for the neighbors, for the property itself. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Thank you. Mr. Rose, anybody else?
I agree. I agree with Joe.
Thank you. So motion, anybody else? Motion to close the hearing?
Yeah, I had a couple of questions. So the arborvitae's appear to be on the neighbor's property, is that correct?
The existing arborvitae?
No, the ones that are proposed, looking at the planting plan?
Yeah, so we are proposing, so again, they developed the planting plan together, and Rob preferred to be planted on his property line.
Okay.
Yeah.
So because the applicant won't have have control over that, perhaps there can just be a letter to the file that's what's going on from the neighbor.
Right. Yep. No problem.
And then
He did submit an email to the file as well. Rob did, supporting the application, but I don't think it mentioned the landscaping, so we can have him do that again.
and then there's no increase in height, correct?
No. Frank's on the phone. Frank Greenwald, that's true, right?
I think he's in the chat.
Billy's on the phone too. Billy, we submitted floor plans.
That's correct.
Second.
That's correct. There's no change to the height.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, Frank.
Those were my concerns. Thank
Anything?
you.
Okay, Phil, that's it?
Yep, that's all I had.
Okay, anybody else? All right, so a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Pam, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You got it. The next,
Application of Richard Weschler, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 301-825.1 for an area variance from Chapter 278 zoning to construct a chimney. A 0.4-foot variance is required from Section 278-3A4A to construct a chimney 21.6 feet from a side yard lot line where the required side yard setback is 22 feet and any other relief necessary. The subject property is 17,700 square feet in area and is located at 105 Buell Lane in Residence District R40. This project is classified as a Type 2 action in accordance with SECRA.
thank you, Pam. Is the applicant present?
I am here.
Good morning.
Hi there. How are you guys doing?
We're well, thank you.
And this is Michael Shatkin. I am the architect.
Good morning,
And we
Michael.
have one other representative here, and that is Jake Olden, who is the builder. And I guess it falls upon me to begin our presentation.
So let me swear you in.
Please.
Okay.
Please raise your right hand and state your name and address for the record.
My name is Michael Shatkin. My address is 11 Strawberry Lane, Shelter Island, New York. I'm a registered architect in the state of New York.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Just to provide a little bit of context about the project very briefly, the project is primarily a restoration and alteration to the existing residence at 105 Beulah Lane. The most significant part about this project is that the board should be aware of is that in terms of the appearance of the house, which I think is historic in character and a contributor to the overall character of the neighborhood, that all aspects of the front facade and the main original building of the house are being left intact. And we are very respectful of the context and the architecture of this house. And what we are seeking to add is a chimney that is a little bit different than the chimney that is permitted as an encroachment, which is a 2-foot by 4-foot dimension. We've provided an elevation for what we are trying to do in lieu of that. And that is to have an iron shaft on the side of the house for the flue, but more of an expression of the firebox and the fireplace, which is interior to the residence. We were careful in our ask not to be within the area that where we are at, in fact, less than the area of a 2-foot by 4-foot dimension, because we are only seeking a 4-inch expression of the chimney on the exterior of the house. The only aspect of it, so it is actually intruding less into the side yard than what would be the case if we were fully compliant. And the only aspect that varies from the code is the width of the fireplace at the base, which is 7 feet. This is on the side of the house. It is in an area facing first the residence driveway, and second, a tall hedge shielding it from the neighbor's property. I'm happy to expand on this presentation. I could talk for longer, but I think I've covered the basics, and would be very, very happy to entertain any questions or be guided by the board as to what they would like me to state further within this presentation. You should have in front of you an exterior elevations indicating the chimney's design, as well as a view of the front of the house. So with that, I'll conclude.
Thank you, Michael. Any callers on the line?
There are no new callers on the line.
I think we lost John. Oh, there you are, John.
Do you guys hear me?
Me? Yeah, I'm.
Okay. I think my comment is it's such a minimal projection from the side of the house. It's more of a detail. So I don't have a problem with it. It's not imposing to the neighbor or affecting anyone else from the street as well. So
Thank
I don't have
you.
a problem.
Any
I
other board
agree.
member? Philip?
I agree with Jimmy.
Okay. Andy, you good with it?
Yeah, I'm very comfortable with this application.
Okay. And Mr. Rose?
Yep, no problem.
I have a motion to close the hearing.
Motion.
Second, please. All in favor?
Hi.
Okay, Pam, please.
Application of Sheila and Taylor Smith, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 301-2613 for an area variance from Chapter 278 zoning to legalize the construction of a chimney. A 1-foot variance is requested from Section 278-3A4 to maintain a chimney located 9 feet from the side yard lot line where the required side yard setback is 10 feet. A 3-foot variance is required from Section 278-3A3 to maintain a chimney located 22 feet from the front yard lot line where the required front yard setback is 25 feet and any other relief necessary. The subject property is 5,000 square feet in area and is located at 36 Maidstone Avenue in Residence District R40. This project is classified as a type 2 action in accordance with secret.
Thank you, Pam. Is the applicant present?
I just emailed Sheila that she can call in too.
Are there any callers on the line?
There's no new callers on the line.
Okay, we did, well, I'll just make a comment here. We did get a letter of support from the neighbors across the street from this, for this applicant. I don't have any issues with it. Do any of the board members have any issues with this?
I went by there, I kind of looked at the neighbor's property. They have a chimney. This house does have a small chimney on the right side, but this new one is on the left, which again, doesn't seem to be imposing. There's enough plant material between the two houses. So I didn't really see an impact on the neighbor or the public. So I don't have a problem with it.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, I agree with Jimmy. I went by and looked at it. The same thing. It's not imposing from the street.
Okay. All right, motion to close the hearing.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Pam, please.
Sure. Application of David Henry and Courtney Fornell, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 301-1515.1 for area variances from Chapter 278 zoning to construct additions to an existing residence and a swimming pool. A 346.2 square foot variance is requested from Section 278-3A13 to construct additions to the existing residence totaling 2,540.2 square feet, where the maximum permitted gross floor area is 2,194 square feet. A 4.9 foot variance is requested from Section 278-3A3A to construct a porch 25.1 feet from the front yard lot line, where the required front yard setback is 30 feet. A 5-foot variance is requested from Section 278-3A5C to construct a swimming pool 15 feet from a rear yard lot line, where the required rear yard setback is 20 feet and any other relief necessary. The subject property is 11,940 square feet in area and is located at 17 Stratton Square in Residence District R40. This project is classified as a type 2 action in accordance with secret.
Thank you, Pam. Is the applicant present?
Hi, good morning, Madeline Van John, Tarbert and Leicester, representing the applicant. And also the project architect, Alex Campagno, and the homeowner, Courtney Fornell, are on the line as well. So essentially what we have here, there's 2 different aspects to the project. And the first one is the pool. The property is limited in that it has 2 front yards. So we've put the pool in the best possible location. It's 14 by 28 and a half with 1-foot coping. So it's relatively small. And we're seeking to put it 15 feet from the side yard lot line. And immediately on the other side of that lot line is the neighbor's pool, which is larger and closer to the same property line, only about 12 feet. And you can see from the aerial as well that all the neighboring properties have pools in their rear yard in that vicinity. So we wouldn't really be impacting anyone. And it's, we're further from the property line than the neighbor's pool is. So it seemed like the best location to put that. And the second aspect is the house renovation and expansion. The family loves the neighborhood and would desire to stay there. They just need a little more space for their family. And from a design standpoint, the best option was to add a second story. And in adding the second story and keeping the house, keeping the appearance, relatively symmetrical and adding the features that would work for the homeowners, we are requesting a small gross floor area variance to accomplish that. The resulting house will still be in the character of the neighborhood. Most of you may know it's an unusual neighborhood. It's partially in the town, partially in the village, and the town allows higher gross floor areas than the village. So there's a variety of different house sizes in the neighborhood. And it's also unusual. This property across the street is a commercial property that fronts over on another street, but there's a commercial building essentially right on the property line across the street. So it's a very varied neighborhood. But we believe that what we're proposing here will be well within the character. We're keeping the majority of the footprint. As Billy noted in his memo, there are some changes to about half of the first floor. And so the foundation is going to be bumped in one location and bumped out in another, but the location of the house is to remain essentially the same. And the reason for that is that the portion of the first story that is to remain in place, the homeowners have made improvements to that, and there's definitely value in keeping it and in keeping the portion of the foundation rather than attempting to rebuild the entire house. And also, as part of the construction, we're proposing to add a front porch so that the front entry of the house is more functional. Right now, there's only a small stoop, and the proposed front porch is really only for entry, to provide a covered entry. It's only on the first floor, just to make it a little easier to get in and out of the house. And it does require a front yard variance, but it's relatively minor. And we did receive a letter of support from one of the neighbors across the street. And the other neighbor directly across the street, as I mentioned, is a commercial property with a building essentially along the property line. So the front yard variance is relatively minor and also won't have any impact on any of the neighbors. And aside from that, I think I can answer any questions anyone has, but that's sort of a summation of what we're proposing here.
Thank you. Do we have any callers on the line?
There are no new callers on the line.
Okay. Any board members like to comment on this?
I can say something regarding the pool. I agree with council that having the neighbor's pool actually closer to the property line than this one will be isn't really an issue, as well as that portion of the property right now would be totally enclosed by hedge. So it's not going to be seen by the public or anybody from the opposite side of the street. So I don't have a problem with the pool. I don't have a problem with the front porch either. It's very minimal. And it's nice to have a designation of where you enter the house. So other than that, I don't have a problem with anything else.
So I would like to make some comments.
Yep.
So the elevations that were included in the plans, when you walk around the neighborhood, it does seem kind of massive in the mass compared to the other homes that are in the neighborhood, especially close by. Noting Billy's memo, it's more in line with a new construction than it is a renovation. It should really be able to meet the GFA. Talking about a 15% variance from that, I believe. The other question I had, and I guess this is for Billy, because the patio is part of the pool, does that have to meet the double setbacks also? Does it have to be 20 instead of 10?
Good morning, members of the board. Billy Hajek for the Village. No, pool patios do not require to meet a doubled setback. The swimming pool, the pool equipment, and pool houses are required to meet the double setback, but not the patio.
Okay.
Patio's okay, it's conforming.
And Philip, can I just ask you, do you have any problems with the pool or the front entrance?
No, I don't have an issue with either one of those items.
And I agree with Philip. I think that the 15.7% is a big ask. So I think it's substantial. So I'd like.
I think if you're doing this amount of renovation, you should be able to comply with the GFA that's permitted because it's basically like a new build. Sorry, John, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's all right. Joe, anybody else like to comment on this? Andy?
Yeah, there's a lot being asked to this application, so I kind of would like to see the GFA come down a little bit because that is a little bit high. So those are just my comments.
Thank you. No?
Mr. Chairman, can I just?
I'm
jump in?
sympathetic to the comments that have been made by the other board members, but I have nothing to add myself.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Ross. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No problem.
Apologize. So maybe the applicant's attorney would like to get us some information on the nature and character of the area with respect to GFA variances and what's being granted in that immediate area within the radius. And I think that might be helpful to the board as well.
Okay, thank you, Vinnie.
Yeah, I mean, I can look into that. I just would like to add for the record that, the house at 11 Stratton, which is on one side, is 2,700 square feet. It's a 2-story house, so that's larger than what we're proposing. And the house directly behind us is in the town, not the village, but it's also 2,700 square feet. So yeah.
I'm sorry. Did they receive variances for that size? Because on a bigger parcel, obviously, there's no GFA issue, right? So it's not just square footage that matters. It's square footage in relation to the size of the lot. So that's why I'm saying if you could get us that information, I think that's really helpful, both to everybody, frankly.
Right. Well, it's number 11 is pre-existing. There was no variance.
Thank you.
And the one behind is in the town. So the allowable GFA is higher, but in terms of appearance from the street, they would be relatively the same. That was my point.
Understood. Thank you.
I don't believe either of the adjacent properties have received variances.
Why don't we'll keep the hearing.
If you look at the one, I'm sorry, go ahead, Chairman.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you look at the one directly behind, compared to realizing it's in the town, compared to the sketches of what was provided of the front elevation, it doesn't seem as great of a mass as imposing it on the street as the one that's directly behind. So that's why I'm saying it. I think it's out of character with the neighborhood.
Okay, yeah, we can take a look at that.
So let's keep the hearing open until next month. And
okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Pam, can we move on to the next hearing?
Application of Red Trust, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 301-2736.2 for an area variance from Chapter 278 zoning to construct an accessory structure / pickleball court. A variance is requested from Section 278(1)(a) to permit the construction of an accessory structure / pickleball court on a parcel of land that does not contain a single-family residence and any other relief necessary. The subject property is 94,229 square feet in area and is located at 99 Main Street in Residence Districts R40 and R80. This project is classified as a Type 2 action in accordance with SECRA.
Thank you, Pam. And Tom, are you here for the applicant?
Yeah. Hi. Good morning, John. Morning, everyone.
Pam's got to sway in here.
Please raise your right hand and state your name and address for the record.
Tom Fantini, 111 Montauk Highway, Amagansett.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. The owner, as said, is requesting permission to build a pickleball court on 99 Main Street. He lives next door on the adjacent property at 97 Main Street. And if you were to look at the property at 99, he's basically turned that whole area into a park. It really just has one storage shed, and it has walkways and paths for his grandchildren. The proposed location is in the northeast corner, adjacent to Herrick Playground and long-term parking. We thought that would be of minimal noise impact to any of the surrounding properties. And the court will meet all setbacks for playing surface. We obviously had Saskis out there and did his setback stakeout. And there's really nothing else that we're requesting.
Thanks, Tom. Is there anybody on the line for this?
Nope, there's no new callers on the line.
Any board members have any comments on this?
I don't have an issue with this.
I think that, it's up against Herrick Park and the village parking lot. I mean, it's really put in an area where it shouldn't have any effect on anyone, I think. So
I have a couple. I have a comment.
Still had a comment.
So I do think that we should require the applicant to sink it as we have done with tennis courts, just reduces the noise because you do have somebody's backyard backing up to that. And then the other question was, I know typically tennis courts go north-south. And this one's so that you don't have the sun in your eyes. This one's kind of running east-west. This is the applicant's already taken that into account and plotting the court. That's a question for Tom.
Yeah, they have taken that into account. What he also wanted to do is kind of tuck it in the corner to the extent that he could without it coming into, I guess, the main part of view of the property. So yeah.
Okay.
As far as sinking in court, I can certainly find out. We are going to probably have a local company do it, probably Hampton Tennis Court, and I can ask them about that.
And Billy, what is it typically 3 feet that they sink the tennis courts?
Typically, yeah.
Typically 3 to 4 feet is, but I've never seen a pickleball court sunk in.
I was just going to ask, have you ever seen one? And forgive me because I've never played.
I've never seen one.
Is that an enclosed court, a pickleball court, or is that open or
it's like a
tennis
smaller
court?
Version of a tennis court, basically.
Okay.
Smaller version of a tennis court.
Sorry, I apologize for my ignorance.
And I just note on the research that I did that apparently the pickleball courts are louder than the tennis courts. So while it does back up to Herrick Park and basically the parking lot of the long-term parking, you do have one neighbor that backs it. So.
And even if it wasn't louder, the fact is that that's what you typically require on those courts if it was the same, right? So it makes perfect sense that you would impose that kind of condition.
All right, Tom, can you come back to us? Is that something?
Yeah, can I ask if they're proposing not to put a fence, a soundproofing fence around or anything like that, but if they were to do that, would that be acceptable in lieu of sinking it, or is sinking pretty much a requirement or a preference rather?
I think sinking it would be a preference.
Okay.
I don't know about sinking it. I mean, this is also something that's not played, it's typically played in the evening, and it's also typically played in the winter. I don't really know if sinking is necessary, but for me anyway.
I think you're thinking
very truthfully, from a constructability perspective, that creates a lot of issues with drainage. And because basically you have a sinkhole.
Sorry, the other thing about the raised pickle courts is that I thought that they typically have some kind of heating device underneath as well.
I think you're thinking paddle, Andy.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking paddle.
Yeah, pickleball, different. Pickleball basically played on a tennis court.
You're right. Sorry, my bad.
Okay. Amy, any comments? Any preference?
No, I mean, seeing that most of this property backs up to either the Union Free School District, the commercial parking lot back there for the village, the pathway through to Herrick Park, his own property, and maybe one neighbor there. I don't see that. If it were to be sunk, I don't think we need any type of sound barrier or anything. But you might have to check and see how much room you need outside that court for people running off to the side edge of the court and stuff like that. But I don't have a problem having it sunken either.
Mr. Rose?
Well, I am sympathetic to the idea of burying it. Obviously, the location and the ability to put this thing in makes a lot of sense. I do share Vinny's observation of ignorance regarding the dynamics of the sport. But if it's played actively in the evening, and then it's something that even raises more of those issues. And I think also, since I gather this is an increasingly popular sport and takes less space, and we're likely to see perhaps more applications along these lines, not exactly like this in terms of an adjoining property, but we should make sure we get it right in terms of what standards we're holding people to when they're put in.
Okay.
So,
Tom, Tom, can you come back to us to see if they'll agree to sync it or give us some
Okay.
options?
Okay.
That would
All
be
right.
great. So we'll keep this hearing open until next month also.
Yeah, and they do sink tennis courts all the time, so I don't think there should be a drainage issue. Think they should be able to figure that out.
Okay. Thank you, Philip. Is there any other business of the day?
I just have one thing, just quick. We received update from Billy Hayjack about 33 Cove Hollow Farm Road, and he complimented them on executing their plan as proposed with no issues, and it's actually come out pretty nice. So I'd like to thank Billy for checking up on them and the applicant for doing the right thing and following the guidelines that Billy laid out.
Okay, thank you, Billy, and thank you, Jimmy, for the comments. A motion to close the hearing? Not the
Make a
hearing,
motion.
motion to close the meeting.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a nice day, everyone. Thank you.
Have a great weekend,
Bye.
everyone.
Okay, guys.